Hello everyone, welcome to Radically Loved Radio. I wanted to create a place where people can go to get inspired, get motivated, or find some clarity and get tools to create a radically loved life. I will do my best to provide information on a variety of subjects, including yoga, holistic health, life coaching, spirituality, meditation, and overall mindful living. Each episode will bring you some of the world's best spiritual leaders, entrepreneurs, yoga teachers, coaches, along with some of my closest friends, and we will talk about their life experiences and journeys to create something more out of their lives and how they continue to grow to make that happen. Hey guys, Rosie here. I just want to say I am so grateful that you're listening. We are just getting a massive amount of response on this podcast, and I am so grateful that you're a part of this radically loved community, that you're enjoying the content and that you're enjoying all the guests and that you're still here and you're still working on yourself and your journey and your path. And I pray that you've received some tools listening to the guests or listening to any of my ideas or topics on meditation or yoga and how these tools can help you create a life of purpose. To continue to help us give you the best content, you can subscribe to this podcast, and most of the time you can just do it from your phone, from iTunes. Click subscribe and write a review. This really helps us continue this path and this journey, and we love doing it so much. And again, I'm so grateful that you're here. Let us know what you thought. Thanks for listening. Elizabeth Lane is your trusted advisor to put literary sophistication right into the palm of your hands. This incredible woman created Quarterlane, which is a luxury box filled with select literary gems and art that's delivered to book lovers everywhere on a quarterly basis. The fact that she was able to combine two of her life's passions, which is curation and books, and create this beautiful gift that you can get every quarter is awesome. When I got my Quarterlane box, I was so excited. And then when I got to talk to Elizabeth, I was even more excited. I literally didn't want to stop hearing about her passion, her journey, and just everything that she's doing. I think reading is such a lost art. And we're so attached to our technology and to phones and to reading things on iPads. I know I'm guilty of this too, but whatever happened to us being able to sit around with our loved ones or just sit on the couch and grab a really incredible story, a book that we can hold and touch and read and be excited about picking up? I really feel that she is revolutionizing our ritual of reading. And we talked all about that. I can't wait for you to listen and to hear your thoughts. Oh, I'm so, Elizabeth Lane, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait to share what you're doing with our audience because I've literally been just holding it in because I think that the Quarterlane spring boxes are so amazing, but I know that you have like a full background in books, and I'll let you tell the audience a little bit more about you and what you're doing, but I have been really looking forward to talking to you, and I'm so excited that you're here. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, Rosie, thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled and honored to be on the show with you. And as I mentioned, I've listened to your podcast, and it keeps me company on my runs and back and forth in the car. So it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, I'm so excited. So for the people that don't know you or what you're doing, just if you could tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself and what you're excited to share with us today.
Absolutely. So my name's Elizabeth Lane, and I started a business called Quarterlane a little over a year ago. I am a bookstore buyer, so a book buyer at an independent bookstore in our small town. We live in a seaside town in coastal Massachusetts, and so we're very sleepy during the winter. So, like over a year ago, I was sitting at my desk and just seeing all of these beautiful hardcovers sitting there. And it was the hardcover at first in particular, where I just thought, how do I get these stories into people's hands? And originally thinking, how might I specifically get these stories into our customers' hands, and then just draw from there. And so kind of in a flash, the idea for Quarterlane was born. And my background is in contemporary art, actually, just kind of behind the scenes working in museums and galleries. And so I love beauty, and I love beautiful things, and I love opening beautiful packages. And I just wanted to basically create a gift that someone would open and feel delighted and loved and special and happy, and have books inside. Because I feel so often books haven't been elevated to that luxury level, and there really for me isn't a bit bigger luxury than that time spent with a story and new characters, and having that, having the freedom and sense of escape you find in a book, and even finding those 5 minutes in a day where you can take that time for yourself, whether it's in the car, like waiting if you have 10 minutes in the car, or in the bath, or wherever that is. That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great to be, I mean, side note, you have like my dream job, because if I wasn't doing what I've been doing, like, I love that you have
my dream job.
Well, maybe we could switch. Maybe we'll do, what's that one movie where they switched lives? Yes. I can't remember what it's called. But if those of,
was it the holiday? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, well, you could just that would be just amazing. I love books so much. Ever since I was little, it was always an escape for me. It didn't matter. It literally didn't matter what kind of book it was. I think I remember one time, like, picking up a book, it was about botany, and like, I had no idea what any of the, scientific terms for certain, botanical flowers were, and I just didn't. I mean, now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was really cool that I even did that. I just love books so much. I love to read, and I don't now anymore. The last couple of years, I've not had the luxury to pleasure read a novel. And when I got your box, it was probably the first time in, I'd say, maybe 6 years that I've read a novel. Like, that was just full of characters, and it just took me back to that feeling. I think exactly what you're trying to give to people with this gift is that feeling of, like, you're sitting, you're cozy, and it's something very beautiful, and it came with this beautiful bag, and I'm reading this beautiful story, and I'm totally just involved in the present moment. And I think that in itself is such a huge gift. And I feel like so much of that art has been lost with distractions like technology, and not having actual, like, books that we hold and read, and we don't go to libraries that much anymore. And when we everything's just like Amazon Prime, like, I'll just order it, which I like the convenience, obviously, of getting this beautiful curated gift brought to me. I mean, of course, that's amazing, but it's still something that I get to hold, and it's something tangible, and it's something thought out, and it's a very mindful gift, So I was obsessed the minute I got it, and I'm like, well, what is it? I was like researching, and then I found you and like what you're doing and what your job was before, and I'm like, that's my dream job. How do I get it?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And I feel the same way, in that there were several years where life was just busy. And so I've always loved to read, and I've always loved, quiet nights at home. I tend to be introverted, so those are my favorite. But there were several years, just like you're saying, where I didn't pick up a novel, and I read books, like a lot of nonfiction, or a lot of, I went through It felt like a several year long, like the
Oh yeah.
development, self help books,
Yep.
which I still love. Like I have
Yes.
such a heart for them. I mean, oh, um, and then I picked up, and then I just started reading novels again because I think for that phase I'd maxed out. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I just don't even know what way to turn. And I've read so many like self help books, but started reading novels and just I found that walking around inside another character or learning another perspective, um, it was almost, and this is an exaggeration, but it almost felt like a meditation to me
Mm.
and a way to really learn more about certain aspects of myself and certain, character aspects or how I truly feel about something. Just introduced these different facets,
Yeah.
which I it, it's been an interesting road, and I just love it. And so I hope even if someone just brings in like one novel every quarter, um, that would be great. Alongside all of the other reading we have to do, and the emails and the work,
Right.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think that that's kind of the thing that maybe keeps people away from the pleasure. See, to me, it's a luxury. Like to me, I think when people are reading novels, I'm like, oh, that's a real luxury. That to me is like, you're reading a novel right now, like that, because I'm in that world, reading yoga books or self development,
yeah,
and especially, having these incredible authors on this show. I read the books, like I read them from front
yeah.
to back, and I love it. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it, but I miss that, like having it when I miss having the luxury of being in another character's shoes and just being enveloped in story and like just not like watching a movie. It's like you
Yeah.
utilizing your mind, your brain, your senses to envelop yourself in a story. It does something to you, right? It really does put you in a
It
meditative state. I
does.
totally agree with you. I totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and like when you find those books where you finish them and you feel kind of disoriented, you're like, wait a second, what world am I in? It's the best.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm reading
The best.
Pachinko. I'm almost done with it.
Huh?
Pachinko by
Yeah.
Min
Yeah.
Lee. Yeah, but by Min Ji Jin Lee, right?
Hmm.
And I'm just like in it. I mean, that, and of course it's like I'm like, which one of these? I got that The Futures by Anna Pitoniak and
Hmm.
Exit
Yeah.
West. Um, and I'm the worst too when it comes to stuff like that, because then I get into it and I'm like, well, I want to read all three. So maybe if I read the first chapters and and it's like, just stop. I have to like pace myself then because I get really excited. But yeah, so I'm almost done with it. But and I love it so much. And it just reminds me how much I love to be in that space. So obviously we can talk about these books forever. What I'd really like to talk to you
Yes.
about is how you got into this. Like, how did you get into becoming a curator, a purveyor of books? I think I read it on your
Oh.
website, yeah, which I loved. How did that happen?
um, as I'd mentioned, my first love is art.
Yeah.
I was an art history major in college and had worked in galleries and museums and other nonprofit spaces. And my husband and I moved from downtown Chicago with our kids, literally to the end of the road in New England. And there is like a little village store in town, which it feels like it's from a movie, really. It's just the anchor in the town. And so I was spending a ton of time there already, and thinking about next steps. And then this book buyer position opened up, and I hopped on it, and really, Quarterlane grew from there shortly thereafter. I feel like, it's one of those situations where people always say, or one of, life sayings is life makes sense when you look at it backwards.
Wow. I love
And
that.
this is like a career path that I wouldn't have predicted, but it feels exactly right. And it feels, really right for me, like to my bones and to my soul. It kind of ties in everything I love. It ties in building community, bringing people together through positive means. I mean, I feel like I could be describing your podcast. This is
I know.
exactly what you're doing, and you do it really well.
Oh.
So basically, I'm trying to do what you're doing through books.
Through book.
But I find such I'd found such like a profound sense of calm and peace just taking small moments for myself, which I think we all have a hard time doing, and time can really escape us. But those moments are available, and I guess my self-development course, rather than yoga, was through books. So
There you go.
so that's really how it was born. Just kind of a love to build community and bring people together and help people celebrate quiet moments.
Yeah, quiet moments.
And then also just loving like the beauty and the physicality of holding a book.
Oh yeah, so I want to talk to you about that because, I when the whole Kindle and like the iPad and all that's, I'm like dating myself. I'm like when the iPad came out.
I know.
But when these things came out, I had such a aversion to it because I'm like, I am not putting any of my yoga books on here. I'm not putting any books on here because I need to have the books and I need to hold them, and it's just different. And then I started to travel a lot and my bag started to get real heavy. And I was like, okay, I guess I see the value in doing that. But it's just, to me personally, my opinion, it's not the same. Having a moment like the one you're describing, like what you're bringing, is different than I have to read this, or there's I need to read this chapter, or I'm on the airplane and I need to read whatever it is that I'm doing. That moment, that ritual of having the tangible book in my hand and smelling the pages, and it's different than having the digital format. So I'm curious as to what you feel about it.
Yeah, I feel really very similarly to you, where I think there's a time and a place for every mode of reading. Like I have, my iPad, and I use iBooks for the plane. For those times when you can't lug around books. I also am a huge fan of audiobooks, and I listen to audiobooks on my runs or in the car. And then I do forever support our libraries and really get in the door there, because talk about like the original sense of community around books. Like there just is no better place or really anchor for a town or community. So I love that. And that being said, I grew up, reading in the bath every night, like ever since as long as I can remember, and just reading before bed. And I feel that in these many hours we have in the day, bedtime is when we're trying to wind down, when we're trying to relax, is to put down the screen, and look at something different. And I can feel that when I do. I really do feel the stress levels go down, and I feel like I have an easier time sleeping, falling asleep. I'm not so tempted to, leap onto Instagram quickly or go from here to there. So that's where the book comes in for me. And it's also, it symbolizes things. So when whether it's like Pavlov's dogs, I don't know, but holding holding a book just has that reaction where I'm like, okay, it's time to relax. Like you're going to put in a
Yeah.
little time here.
Yeah. Well, I was just talking to one of my students about it just actually a little while ago. When I'm having like a hard time, falling asleep, sometimes I'll just pick up a book and it's just like automatic. I'm like, okay, my eyes are tired. Now it's time to go to bed. I tried to switch it around and start reading in the morning, but it was having that same effect. There was something just so like, and I'm like, obviously can't read in the morning because it's definitely not getting me motivated to do anything
Oh,
else.
I know. I've tried the same thing. It's like, there's nothing better than crawling back in bed with like a mug of coffee and your
Oh,
book, but then you don't want to go
yes.
anywhere for the rest of the day.
It's
It's like
true.
I could just fall asleep again.
What are some of your
Um,
favorites right now? What are you enjoying?
well, my favorite book from that I included in the spring box was Exit West by
Exit
Mohsin
West, yeah.
Hamid. And it is a compact little book. I mean, I think it's probably 250 pages,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just an epic story in a little space. And I really feel like he's just one of the best writers that we have now. And
Wow.
it's a love story set within a refugee experience as
Mm-hmm.
this couple leaves their home village, and that experience of leaving and what that means personally and then more globally. And so it's incredibly timely, which sometimes these books, I'm like, he wrote that like years ago. He's been working
Yeah.
on it for years. How did he know? I mean, just like such a beat on kind of the stories that um, will help heal us and where we
Yeah.
are right now. Um, and then and I loved Pachinko as well
Yeah.
as well as the futures. And I one of one of my favorite books that I always talk about. There's an author, Marisha Pessel, who she wrote her first book was called Special Topics and Calamity Physics, and then her second book was called Night Film. And I just love her writing style. It's fun. I mean, when I heard the title Special Topics and Calamity Physics, I was like, what is this? Like, oh no.
I'm intrigued. I don't even.
Yes, but yeah, I mean, I had no idea what to expect, and it is just the most fun, inventive, like romp,
Oh,
but smart romp.
yeah.
So both of her books, I think if anyone is looking for a good summer surprising read, that's a lot of fun. A Night Film feels like you might as well, I mean, be in a Hitchcock movie,
Wow.
but like the best Hitchcock movie. So
Sold.
yeah, and then I always have a very big heart for anything that Nora Ephron has written, and I'm looking at I have a compilation of her writings called "The Most of Nora Ephron" that I'm looking at my book on my bookshelf right now. But I love her writing. So those are my tops
Those are
today,
your tops
which could
today.
change. They could change tomorrow,
Yeah,
but
they could change like this evening. You're like, well,
yeah.
actually, tonight I'm gonna have something different. Why do you think this is important for us to have these moments, especially in the environment we're in now?
I I think these moments, whether it's with a book, in a yoga class, on our meditation pillows, we just need moments to breathe. And I think that I found those moments of breath and relaxation in reading. I find them in yoga. I find them in meditation, which I do. But I think sometimes taking kind of that baby step of saying, I can take these 30 minutes and simply be in the quiet with a book is a great first into being quiet with ourselves. And I think those times of being quiet with ourselves have become rare.
Yeah.
Even on social media, if I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
room, by myself going through Instagram, it just doesn't feel, it feels more fractured.
Yeah.
So I think reading symbolizes that for me, along with um, many other things. But
Yeah.
I just presenting another way for people to find relief in the stress, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and more connection to themselves and the core of what they are. It's interesting that you're saying
Yeah.
all that, right? It's now, I mean, time is so precious, right? Time is so precious, and for me, every year that goes by, the older I get, I feel that more and more. And I refuse to do anything with my time that isn't gonna benefit my connection to me,
Hmm.
in the most deeply spiritual way. Like I have to be fully present if I'm going to be hanging out with my family or Tori or my little sister, or my dogs. Like I want to be fully there. I want to be fully involved in the moment. I want to spend time doing things that make me feel good. So sometimes being on my computer for way too long, I can start to feel it, and I have to just cut myself off, or I'm engaged in a negative dial or a narrative in my mind because something didn't work out, or
Yes.
I'm like stressed out about something that I'm supposed to do and haven't done, or something that I'm doing that's not working. All of those things. Like I don't want to spend time giving that energy. Like I want to spend time doing the things that make me feel fulfilled. So me, like, being on social media, I mean, that's a large part of what I do. Especially right now, I'm on a yoga tour with Yoga Journal
Oh,
currently. Yeah, so me and my friend Brant, who's also been a guest on the show, we're on a 6 month long, 22 cities tour. We're spending a week in each city,
oh
exploring
my
the yeah,
gosh.
exploring the yoga culture in each city, and just talking to people that are living and embodiment of what yoga and the practice really is. And we're creating these really cool videos, and we're documenting it all on social media, and it's awesome. And Yoga Journal is amazing, and we're so fortunate to be doing this for them, and to have this opportunity.
Hmm.
Which is amazing. A lot of my work revolves around me having my phone in my hand, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
and I'm constantly like taking pictures of the food that I'm at this coffee shop, and now I'm getting this ice cream, and now here's where I'm going to yoga, and now here's, it's just like so much of that where it's like I have to be able to cut myself off a little bit and be like, okay, now enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
like the point of being on the tour, is to be able to have the experience and connect with different people in the different communities, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I find myself having to cut off from the
Yeah.
disengagement, because you're disengaged the minute that you're not fully present with what you're doing, right? You're disengaged.
Yeah. 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 And you're kind of like living in two separate spaces.
Yeah.
Um, not committing to either one. We we found that, oh my God, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, my husband and I were talking about it. Like we'd come home and, be trying to do a million different things and also have our phone in our hands. And it just kind of like made us cranky and disconnected. And it was like, okay, we have to have these certain hours. I mean, you kind of have to put those rules in place, which is so funny because, I mean, both you and I have referenced our age, but I distinctly remember a time when this didn't even exist. And I'm right there in it too. And it is so much of your work, and in some ways it's become my work too. But I also find um, like I even had the moment yesterday where I'd just gotten home and like emails were coming in and like something, I missed an edit or something, and like, oh no, and just, like your heart like starts beating fast. And I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but like what you could do or should do. And as a yoga teacher, I'm sure you've got the tools. Like you have the tools in your back pocket. And there are times when I'm like, I know the tools and I do not want to do the tools. Like I am just gonna like sit here in this mood and fully exploit it.
Yeah, the answer is yes. Way more than I even like to admit. That it's like, the thing is, I have never professed to be like a yogic master. I'm a student just like everyone else. I'm definitely not perfect. Like, I do what I do because I need to learn it. Like I talk about these topics because I need to learn about the topics. Like, it's so helpful for me just as a human and as a person functioning in today's society. I need to learn these tools. I need to talk about them. I need to teach them. I want to like just continue to envelop myself in them because the more you do it, the easier it becomes. But yeah, there are several times I come home and I am like, yep, I know exactly what to do. I know I'm not supposed to react. I know exactly, that I'm supposed to do the opposite, but I don't feel like it. It's not going to happen. So yeah, it's so interesting. Look at us. We're just talking about life. That's what this,
I know. I love it.
Oh. So currently right now, what are you most excited about? What are you working on that you're most excited about?
Well, we down the road, I hope to start a book club for Quarterlane, which
sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. I have such a heart for this community piece, and I just want to bring a group together. Whether they've ordered a box, however they read, whatever they do, I just want to meet people and bring people together. And so that will happen at some point. And then the most exciting thing happening in the near future is I'm starting a box for kids. So that will come to be hopefully in July. And I have two girls who are ages 7 and 8. And as a part of Quarterlane, because I love visual art, and I think that really is almost my first love, having an artist create a print for every season was kind of an maybe odd, but totally just me being like, how can I bring art and books together? Here you go. So my girls, knowing this, they're like, can we do the art for Quarterlane Kids? I was like, sure, of course you can.
That is so cool, Elizabeth. That's awesome. I will have a child just so I can get them a spring.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Let me know in your boxes and mail.
I love that. So just, do you see how fast time goes? I'm just like, wait, hold on. I want to keep talking to you about things. I'm curious, just in your experience with, all the mindful modalities that are out, and obviously you're curating to that, and you're providing you're providing something for the world of people out there that want to have those moments and be mindful about their time and do something that makes them feel good, like reading books and novels and having a beautiful gift for themselves. I'm curious for you, how do you find, what sort of tools do you use to get back into a space of mindfulness when you're feeling out of sorts?
I love this question so much because I think about it a lot. And sometimes, like I was saying earlier, I can really be stubborn and like, no, I'm not going to get out of this mood. I'm going to fully run with it, which is usually a big mistake because so when you were describing your yoga path, I feel such a kinship because a few years ago, I got my teacher certification in Kundalini yoga.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just, like, I'd taken a few classes and I was like, there's so much information to learn. There's so much wisdom. Like, I was like, I have to become a teacher so I know all of this and can use it. And I really loved it. But as an introvert, I'm a forever student, just like you said. And as I think of myself as pretty introverted, so I am not a natural teacher. Love to participate, but usually like to spend my time more in the back of the room, listening to those who teach really well, like you. And so I do try to stick to some sort of meditation practice. And I also found this aspect of my personality where if I hear that something's like a good idea, I'll get a little rigid about it. So I'll be like, okay, I need to meditate for 20 minutes every day. I realized that wasn't good for me. And so I'm like, I need to meditate sometimes whenever I find time and let myself off the hook of being stringent about my own well-being. Like I think that's also where discovering that I think I came out of this from my yoga experience, which I love and I turn to all the time. And I found that with my personality, when I would get strict about what I should do, whether it was wake up at 4:30 in the morning, which I realized was not going to happen, and keep me and make me sane and pleasant to those around me, I really had to let myself off the hook and say, you know what, little right steps and little right actions and recognizing moments when they present themselves. So if I meditate, that's great. And I feel much better and grounded throughout the day. If I don't do it and I find 10 minutes or 5 minutes to read in my car if I've gotten somewhere a little early, it doesn't have as deep of an effect. It has a similar effect where I can reset myself. Or in our teacher training, we'd have these meditations where we'd have to stick our arms out for like a half an hour, and like pretty like interesting stuff like happens when you're holding your arms out for a half an hour. But I also found meditation in going for a run or going for a walk. So I think one of the things that I would love to share as we're in a time where people are waking up to consciousness, want to bring higher vibrations to the world, want to feel that. I mean, just bring that positive energy. There are so many ways to recalibrate and get there. So I think, and so that's how I got there, by letting myself off the hook and being like 5 minutes with a click.
Wow.
Good.
No, that's so good. I'm literally just like sitting here like gazing out to the beautiful sun, and I'm like all dreamy eyed. I'm like, that sounds so amazing. I'm like, teach me your ways.
I'm sorry. Like,
no, it was so good. Okay, so just a couple more questions before I let you go. And I am so grateful to have connected with you, and I know that this is going to be the first of many, because I just know it is. I'm curious if there's any words of wisdom that you live by.
One that I have been thinking about a lot. I have two that have really felt central to my life right now, presently,
Mm-hmm.
which is worry is a prayer for chaos, because I can, worry and spin and future project and all of that, and that is just a waste of time. And it is something that I do and will continue to do. But I also like to have that reminder of what sort of energy I'm bringing in. And so then maybe I can take a few deep breaths and be like, okay, whatever I'm projecting is going to happen. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? And I am really not that good of a fortune teller or psychic anyway. So I have no idea. But so I do think of that. And then Gabby Bernstein, in one of her talks, and I think in her book, said a while ago, I measure my success by how much fun I'm having. And I've really tried to adopt that and chase joy in a way these past few months, because I can get a little serious and, just take everything very seriously. And life flows better when I'm recognizing the joy. So I've been trying to just, remember that, and know that work doesn't necessarily have to get done, after a certain point at night. Like, I can just shut it down, and that's okay. And it'll happen in the morning, and the world will keep on turning. And it's fine. So I think, yeah, having downtime and recognizing the fun and finding fun and joy is something that I'm really dialing into now. And
I love that.
And learn.
Yeah, and it's such a great lesson to learn, and also a great lesson to teach. Like you're saying, you're not a teacher, and you could have fooled me this whole time. So I created Radically Loved as a forum for people to come to feel supported, like-minded, to have a community, to learn about all the different topics, modalities, yoga, meditation, self-development, or just need some inspiration. And
Yeah.
So, right, the idea is that we are all supported and loved by Source, God, the Force from Star Wars, whatever it is that you believe in, a higher power of your understanding. So the question to you is, how do you feel radically loved, and what do you radically love?
I love that. And on a little side note, I love your message so much. I mean, I just love what you're bringing. And even on like the Skype homepage, I think you have something that says like, I'm feeling radically loved right now. It's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, just reading that makes me feel radically loved right now. Like, it's so good. It's so important. And I imagine like if people are around you, you just like naturally like lift them up. It's amazing.
Oh,
so
that's sweet.
Back to your questions. I would say I feel like that I'm giving radical love, or that I radically love my family, my kids, and my husband. Absolutely. And then also. And then I also radically love being outside, nature, feeling that connection.
Yeah.
I lived in cities for so many years that now that we're kind of in the country, I relish that.
Yeah.
And then I love going to cities even still. And then I feel most kind of the same answer. I feel radically loved by my husband and children. But it's interesting because I have to, they show me love all the time. And in order for me to feel it, I have to be open to it. I don't know if you've ever felt that, but
Yeah,
like
no,
if
I
you've
do.
been in a certain mood where you feel closed off,
Yes.
and no one's love can get in.
Yeah.
So I think keeping our hearts open, really, or my heart open, helps with that immensely, and then I can feel it. And I think opening my heart, I'm feeling source love, force love, divine love, God love through these people when my heart's open, and through nature and the earth and the ground and the grass when my heart's open. So, because when we're closed off, and when I'm closed off and cranky, nothing is getting in.
Yeah. Nothing, not the good or the bad. It's just nothing gets in. And I think that's almost worse, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Elizabeth Lane, you are amazing. I can't even, I can't, I'm so grateful for you and what you're doing and the service that you're providing and the intention and the knowledge and the wisdom that you're gifting in what you're doing is priceless. And I really feel that it's something so needed right now. And I think that it's so much more than just a beautifully curated box of well-selected books. I think a lot of your heart is in there, and I think that people, when they get them, they feel that and they know that, and I think that it's a bigger message than we even understand. And I'm so grateful that you're doing it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosie. I do hope people feel my heart when they open the box, and I can't thank you enough. I support you as well. I think you're just putting such beautiful, important work. And as I said, you have my dream job. I mean,
I know we can switch.
The conversations are amazing.
I know. I love my job, and I love to do this. So for the people listening, where can they go? Where can they get more information, and where can they be in contact with you?
Oh, I would love that. Our website is quarterlanebooks.com. All one word. Quarter, because we're quarterly, and Lane's my last name. And then I'm on Instagram mostly under @Quarterlane. And I would love to hear from anyone. I email back all the time. If anyone wants to join the book club or whatever, we'll get that rolling. But it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so great. So, and we'll put all of those links on the show notes. So for everyone listening, you can click on either the podcast that you're listening to. The show notes will be there. You can click the links so you can go directly to them and follow Elizabeth and Quarterlane, and please do all the things. She's amazing. You're missing out if you're not. So thank you so much for being on the show, Elizabeth. I can't wait to get to know you more and to continue to stay in contact with you and be in the book club.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you, Rosie.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am so excited to continue to do this. Please share this with your friends. Email us, message us on Instagram @Rosie Acosta or on Twitter @Rosie Acosta. Subscribe on iTunes, write a review. We love doing this, so please help us continue to keep this podcast going. Thanks for listening.